Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mind Method Podcast. Your hosts, Matt and Tamar. And this week we have Hemmalaya Tan. Hem, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me, you two.
Yeah, I mean, Hem, when she came on the call, she goes, "Oh my God, my favorite people." And I've never heard that before. And I would love to get used to it. So thank you. We're flattered. And, the feeling is mutual. We connected with you in Montana at Pace's Ranch. We met for the first time as part of the Owners Club in Sub 2. And we hit it off immediately. We fell in love with your little dog. And we just, connected on that personal level. So I'll let you take it away. We just want to hear from you. You're doing so many things. You're doing big things, international things. But we want to know who is Hem? Who are you? Where do you come from? Like, what's your journey through life been? And just give us a little background from however far back you want to go.
Okay, so we can go way back. So I was born in a refugee camp in Thailand, and my whole family is Cambodian. So they escaped from Cambodia to Thailand, and we came here literally with nothing.
Wow.
So growing up, we lived in like the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. We lived in Santa Cruz, San Jose, California as well. And then I think just growing up, going into school, I feel like I was always kind of like that outcast kid, but I got along with everyone. And it helped my communication skills since English wasn't my first language growing up, going to ESOL, learning English as a second language. And then, I don't know, I think just my personality, getting along with everyone, my chameleon personality, it helped me build my sales background. And that's kind of basically my foundation. I've been in sales for 20 plus years. And, in Owners Club, I just kind of figured, like, what am I going to give to everyone here? So that's going to be my sales experience, pitching, our deals to family offices or high net worth individuals, and helping everyone in Owners Club and Sub 2 level up as well, too. So, that's really my background.
So for people who don't know, just describe maybe what Owners Club is.
Okay. Well, okay. Owners Club is the mastermind within Pace Morby's Sub 2 community. And we are the owners of his brand new title company that is creating the first ever consistent paperwork for real estate transactions in all 50 states. And it's called Creative Title and Escrow, correct?
Yep, Creative Title and Escrow.
Creative Title and Escrow. And it is the first ever. So we are owners in that company, but we're also, trailblazers and leaders within the Sub 2 Astro communities. And I think that's probably the best definition of that group. And Pace puts a lot of responsibility on the Owners Club to be leaders in the space. Wouldn't you agree, Hem?
Yeah, I would say, a curated group of people with different backgrounds. So that way it's not all wholesalers, not all fix and flippers. And we're all there to build each other up.
Yeah.
So you were how old when you guys moved to the U.S.?
I was probably 6 months old when I got here.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the U.S. is really all you've known, really.
Right.
Did your family, did they maintain your culture and your history as you were growing up, or did you grow up as an American?
Oh, no, they did, definitely. So I remember in first grade going to school, my parents packed my lunch and, those little igloo packs with a little comic on it, whatever. And I would have Asian food in there. There's chicken, my protein, my rice, my salad. And then all my kids, all my friends, they had pizza or whatever it is from the kitchen, the cafeteria. And they're looking at me like, ew, what is that? What are you eating? It's so weird. And I'm like, well, this is what I grew up with. I had no idea what mac and cheese was or grilled cheese. I'm like, that's so weird that you guys eat cheese. Because, we didn't grow up eating that. But, being the odd kid in the group, I guess it helped me build my backbone in sales too. You're getting, hung up on, cursed at, all that stuff. And I'm like, whatever, just on to the next one, getting
you
close.
Developed a thick skin.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
You and Tamar actually share a similar story. Tamar was born in Miami, but also English is not her first language as well. So you guys both at a very young age had to learn English as your second language, right?
Well, yeah, and I moved around a lot, so I was also always the odd one out. I was always the new kid.
Yeah.
And I adapted really well, but it's interesting for me to hear you talk, because I would say for me, you became really good at sales and you embraced interactions. I sort of started to shy away from it after a while, because after moving around and always being the new kid, and then I would move, and then my friends that back then there was no social media, it was pen and paper.
Yeah.
So friends never really kept in touch. So I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'm not meant to have friends, and that sort of carried into adulthood. But for you, it was actually the opposite experience. For you, you really became a people person.
Yeah. And also, my mom, from such a young age, she always taught me to always have your own money. Like, don't rely on whoever you marry. Like, always have your own money. And so that always stuck in my head too. So I would save all my birthday money, Christmas, all the holidays. And I remember I bought me and my brother our Nintendo. It was like $130 back then, which is like a lot, And he's like, how did you do that? I'm like, dude, I saved our birthday money while you just spent it on like random stuff, like the ice cream man every day, So yeah, I learned at a young age how to save and invest in things, where my brother would just spend. So we kind of have two different mentalities growing up too.
Wow.
And do you and him still share those, I guess, mentalities around money now as adults?
I would say he's getting better for sure. I mean, right now he's in LA still, and he built a brand new 2-story townhome behind his lot. So he's understanding real estate better now. So I'm like, go, you're doing
Nice. ADU. Let's go.
it. Yeah.
I love that. So Tam, tell us about what it is you do in real estate. What is it that you do creatively, and what do you do on a big scale?
So I just got into lending full time a couple months ago, did my first private money lending deal through my self-directed IRA. And so many people have no idea what a self-directed IRA is as well.
Yes.
That you can even invest that in real estate or private equity deals. They just think that your IRA is only invested in the stocks and bonds.
Yeah, that's locked.
Yeah. So I got into that, and I thought that was going to be my lane. So I'm focusing on that on the money side. And with my background, before I was in real estate, I was doing loans, I was a loan officer. So I'm like, I always, did other jobs and always come back to real estate. I'm like, I like numbers. This is my thing. I think this is going to be my lane. So I'm helping fix and flippers get money for their deals, wholesalers get EMD money or double closes. So stuff like that for now. And then once everyone else in Owners Club levels up and gets those big deals, then I can pitch those to other institutions.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have a question specifically for you, because so for anyone listening, within the Owners Club, we have what's called the Mount Everest. And it's a challenge that Pace has given us. And for us in the personal development space, we call them sea goals. We call them these big, magical, wonderful goals that we have set out in our lives that we just are terrified by, because we have no clue how we're going to achieve them. And, I liken that to having the Everest that we're working on. So each of us in the Owners Club are working on an Everest. What is your Mount Everest? Can you give us in great detail what it is that you're working toward?
So we kind of already talked about me pitching deals to family offices. So I actually put a number on it. So in 5 years, I want to pitch $100 million of Owners Club deals to family offices or high net worth individuals.
Wow. Tell me why. What about that gets you excited?
I think because it's just going to help everyone level up, and everyone's deal is telling a story. And I don't think people realize it, that you're actually telling a story to sell that deal to whichever investor or lender you're working with. And everyone's like, oh, okay, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and we converted to this and this and this. But tell them more of the story behind that. You know, what were the trials and tribulations? What's selling? Oh, this awesome elementary school, like they're building a nationwide, I don't know, something in there. You know, that people don't see beyond the front page of the sheet. You know, of the investor list or whatever it is. Like tell
Mm-hmm.
them what's behind the deal. And I don't think people really understand that when they're doing their deals because they don't have a sales background. They're just like, okay, it's this, this, and this. Here are the facts. But if you tell a story behind it, it's going to sell better. And then people are going to, you know, invest in it more, I would say.
There's an art to sales, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you tell
go
the
ahead.
story. Yeah, you want to tell the story. Everything has a story.
Yeah, it does. The line that pops out in my mind hearing you say that is, Pace says the story is the glue that attaches it to the person's mind, right? It's the glue. So if you don't have a story, it's not going to stay in their mind,
Right.
right? So really have that story. Have it, and a thing about a story is making sure that it's truly authentic. I think is the biggest thing about a story. It doesn't have to be impressive. It doesn't have to be, flashy. It just has to be authentic.
Yeah. And I think also looking at family offices, they all have different core values, different investment mandates. So, for example, let's say it's a Jewish family office. You know, you're not going to pitch something that they're not aligned with. You know, so that's why you got to really dig deeper and find out who are you talking to, and what's going to be the story that they would want to hear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart. Okay, I want to step back from the business side because that's really high level. I just have to say, because like talking to family offices, like a year ago, I didn't know what a family office was. And I think like for a lot of people, they're like, probably people listening and going, what the heck is a family office? So maybe before I go on, I want to go off topic. Maybe explain to anyone listening, what is a family office?
So a family office is essentially, it could be a family or individual that has their own wealth management team. So they have their own accountants, tax strategists, CFO, fund manager, any kind of big investment decisions that they're going to make, they're going to consult with their team, their family office team, before they move forward with anything.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. How in the world, like as a regular investor, how would anyone ever network or find or do any kind of business with these kinds of people?
I think it's really just networking and telling everyone what you do, what you're looking for. Because like Pace says too, if you don't tell people what you're doing, what you're looking for, you don't know if that person's holding a piece of the treasure to your map.
I love that. Great.
It's about putting yourself out there, right? This is such an important part of real estate investing that I think a lot of people underestimate, because they think that real estate investing means you go and you buy a program and you learn the strategy of how to invest and how to buy property or how to be an operator. But they forget that you actually have to go out and meet people, and you actually have to create a team around you that's going to make those connections, and they're going to, help you to meet the right people that you need to, because this is a people industry. This is not just a numbers game. Exactly. Right. And I think so many people who maybe are new to real estate investing, they miss out on the fact that it's who you know, not what you know, more often.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Tamar's absolutely right. I tell people all the time when they ask me how to raise capital, I said, don't go ask for anybody for money. That's for starters. I said, you need to go out and you need to meet more people, because if you don't know how to raise capital, you just don't know enough people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is 100% a people business. I'll say that. So back to my burning question. Stepping away from talking about, the real estate and the Everest, and I love your Everest. I think that's really awesome. It's something that like I'm very impressed by. I want to hear from you, going back to like, we all are at places in our lives where, to be in an owner's club, right? To be in a high level mastermind in a group like that, you are very established and successful to a certain extent, But for all of us, there's a journey, right? And it hasn't always been that way. So maybe you could touch on what has been the biggest hurdle in your life? What has been the biggest struggle for you in achieving the success at your level that you have?
I think for me is just kind of figuring out what is your lane, because I feel like everyone's going to have that shiny object syndrome. It's like, oh, I want to fix and flip. I want to get into crypto. I want to be a day trader. It's like, what do you want to do? And I think that's really the hardest thing for most people. And I kind of notice that when I speak to other sub two or gator people or just anyone out networking, when you ask them, like, what do you do? It's not just one thing. They'll list you a whole list of things. And that's really what most people would struggle with, finding their focus and being in alignment with your assignment, kind of like what Tim Story said to us. So that's what I think it was for me. But now
it's figuring out what you're actually good at.
Yeah.
Right? Because people start to dabble in so many different things that they never end up figuring out, A, what do I want to be doing? And B, what am I even good at?
Yeah. Yeah, you're a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what was the biggest thing that you drew on, I guess? What was the biggest thing that you were able to employ in order to achieve that focus?
I think for me is when I was in sales, I worked in so many different industries, starting from real estate, doing mortgages, going out, doing debt settlement, doing sales for a law firm. And I feel like all those things always drove me back to real estate. I don't know why that is, if the universe was just guiding me there, but I feel like I always came back to that. And I'm like, okay, this is it. This is my lane. I'm going to stay in.
Tell us your top 3 secrets to success. What do you think are like the 3 key drivers that people need to have to succeed?
Top 3 is network, find a mentor, and stay focused.
Oh, love those 3.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Totally agree.
Well done on the spot. So number 1, networking is probably one of the biggest things that I push on anyone new in the industry and anyone, we have sub 2 meetups and I'm running the Canadian meetups up here in Toronto, and we get brand new sub 2 students all the time. And they're just, I'm getting into wholesaling and I'm cold calling, and I'm like, man, you got to go meet people first. Like you can hit phones for 2-3 years, but like, you're not going to start really building and creating a portfolio and wealth and actually becoming a real true investor until you start really meeting people.
Yeah.
Right. And I always tell people, spend 6 months just networking. Just go meet people and be valuable to them.
Right.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Yeah. And the mentorship. I mean, we agree. Find the people that are doing what you want to do and have what you want to have, and take their advice and learn everything you can from them.
Yeah. Who's been your biggest mentor in real estate, and then maybe also in life?
So in real estate, I would say, he doesn't know it yet, but I would say Ken McElroy was up there.
Ken McElroy.
Yeah.
I don't know Ken.
You don't know Ken? He's one of Pace's mentors.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I like
I'm going to look him up.
Very quiet about it too. He's not, flashy out there with his Lamborghini, Ferrari, like, hey, look what I'm doing here. Follow me. He's just doing it, So I like him for real estate. And in life, I don't know. So many, hard to say. I mean, so my religion is Buddhism. And I feel like Buddhism is not a religion. It's just a way of life. So just following all the basic principles in Buddhism. And I think that's kind of what drives, morality and, what you should be doing as a person.
Yeah. Like being good for the sake of being good.
And being
present.
Exactly.
I love that.
There's
love
a
the
lot
principles.
of parallels with, what we teach in personal development and Buddhism. Just really the gratitude, being rooted in the now, the meditation,
spirituality.
Spirituality is huge.
Spirituality is massive.
Yeah.
Did I see on your social media that you are involved with fostering dogs?
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. So back in May of this year, I was thinking like, do I get another dog? Does Enzo like it? So it was kind of like a little testing the waters. And I filled out this foster application to foster just one. Okay, so then August comes around and they emailed me like, hey, we have 5 dogs. 2 of them are brothers near you. I know you want to, just foster one. You can call me crazy, say no, whatever, but would you be open? We don't know if they're bonded. I'm like, okay, fine. So I fostered them for a little over 2 months and I actually found their new forever parents just at the
Oh
mall.
my gosh.
I brought Enzo to the mall with me, and we were in Zara, like shopping, whatever. And this lady comes up to me, is like, "Is that a Shiba? Why is he so small? Like my son has a Shiba, but he's bigger." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm actually fostering 2, but they're normal size. Here's pictures." And we're just sharing pictures. And he's like, "Okay, I think I might be interested. Just send me all the information." So it's funny how that happened.
So sweet. So will you foster more
Yeah,
pups?
definitely.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
So it's so bittersweet, I imagine, to have them for this little time and then
But what's nice is the guy's local, and I'm sure I'll see them again. I even told him like, look, if you need a dog sitter, like, I'm definitely down.
that's
I
so
love that.
sweet. And how did Enzo do?
He's more of a single child, but
He wants mama.
he tolerates them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's so sweet. Yeah, we met him when we were in Boston, and he's just the sweetest little thing.
He's very sweet.
Yeah.
So Hem, I have another question for you because this is the Mind Method podcast. I do want to ask, now that I know that you are, do I say you're Buddhist? Do I say that? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So now I love that. Also, my goal book that I write in every day has a quote from Buddha right on the cover. So I read that every morning. So we're super aligned on that. I love that. So now that I know that you're Buddhist, what would be something that is taught in Buddhism? Say that right? Buddhism.
Yep.
That also relates and is aligned with mindset principles. That's something that you actually use day to day.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's in line with Buddhism that I use day to day. I mean, honestly, it's just really simple. Like treating others the way you want to be treated. That's really simple. I feel like that
Do you
can.
meditate?
What's that?
Do you meditate?
I do.
Yeah, so take us through that process.
Tell us
what
about
are your
it.
tips and tricks?
So I do it right when I wake up, and it's kind of mixed in with breathing exercises, and you're just visioning what your day is going to look like. Or you can do your week, or you can do your month, your year, whatever it is. I just like to do my day. And so that way I'm already seeing what I'm doing that way, what I'm seeing, what I'm doing that day. So you're envisioning, so you are that person. And it's kind of like you're visualizing your affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
And just do that for about 5 minutes.
Yep.
I love that.
With you.
We do the same thing.
Visualization, gratitude. We call it a millionaire morning.
Yeah.
Where you get up, you do your gratitude work, you do your meditations, your affirmations, you visualize. So that's amazing. And it makes a huge difference, right? Because it sets your whole vibration up in a certain way, right? Because when you wake up in gratitude and you visualize what you want out of your day, you're so much more likely to go out and achieve those things rather than get up and take an inventory of all of the things that you're dreading, which is what a lot of people do when they wake up.
And you're just starting off with a positive mindset. You're not thinking negative, and yeah.
What does that meditation look like for you? Do you listen to a certain music? Are you in total silence? Is it pitch black? Are you laying down? Like, what does it look like? Take us through, like, really, like, detailed. What does it look like when you meditate?
So I like to get up and sit Indian style, like at the foot of my bed, and just quiet, deep silence, no music, no nothing, just me and my thoughts, and just go through the visualization myself.
Love it.
And then
That's awesome.
during the day, I talk to myself too, out loud.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Love it.
I don't think I do, but apparently I do.
Yeah, oh, she talks to herself all the time. I'll hear her from the next level. I'm like, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
That's great. I do the same thing. I come downstairs and I meditate on the living room floor in front of the couch, cross-legged, and I sit there in silence. And I usually meditate for about 20 minutes and that's when I really talk to myself and I talk to God, and I usually go through a lot of gratitude when I meditate, and I don't do a lot of breathing exercises. Excuse me, but I found that for me, what's really been the deepest connection for me in rooting that gratitude is setting the intention of feeling the feelings of the gratitude. And just like how you said, you visualize seeing yourself having that positive day and going through the day and having those things happen that you want to have happen, and that brings them into reality. And I love that because when we talk about visualization, that's exactly what that is manifesting not just the image or idea of a thing, but like you said, feeling it now and manifesting how it feels as your day goes on in the way that you want it to go, which is really, really, really amazing.
Yep.
I love that.
People who are successful are often very good visualizers.
Yeah.
They're able to really play out the events that they want to have happen, and then they end up having them happen, right? They're able to really connect their thoughts to their actions, right, ahead of time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Are you a visioneer?
Am I a visioneer? I would say
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I am too. I'm very what brain is it?
Right.
I am a right-brained person.
You're creative.
Creative. I can visualize things that I can't physically see, and I can build them out in my mind. So I love that. So that's a huge skill. I want to ask you, if someone's listening to this and they've never meditated in their life, what would be a good starting point for them? What would you recommend?
I would say just sit down in silence, close your eyes, listen to your breath, and just listen to your mind. What is your mind? What are you thinking about right now? And try to just be in silence. Just try to block everything out and just sit there and see if you can sit there in silence for at least 5 minutes. Start with that.
That's great advice. That's the will.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Just block out all the noise and see if you can do that for 5 minutes.
And then what advice would you give to somebody who maybe has a sales background like you did, who is thinking of getting into real estate? I have a feeling you're going to say network. What advice would you give to somebody who is thinking of making the transition, or advice on how to get really clear on what you actually want, right? Maybe they're really good at sales. They've worked in several different industries. They're trying to niche down and really find a way into the real estate world. What would you recommend to somebody who is in sales right now and maybe considering, niching down?
I would say maybe listen to some of the closers dispoing a deal, or even the acquisition team as well. So that way they can listen to the phone calls. I'm not like a wholesaler, but I would think that if you have a sales background, that's a good way to help them close their deals,
Yeah.
Just listening to calls, listening to objections, and of course, networking. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, networking.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us about, now there's something else we wanted to touch on. Tell us about what you're doing and working on. Is it Spain or Portugal?
So it's Portugal.
Yes.
Yeah, Portugal. One of our
What's going on?
Owners Club members got a sub 2 deal in Portugal. So just going to try to help her see if the feeder fund would be the right course of action for her to get other monies, whether it's overseas or, local.
Okay, so that's super high level. Just so you know, like there's probably people listening who go, "What the heck is a sub two? What do you mean you bought a sub two in Portugal? What is a Portuguese sub two? And what's a feeder fund? I don't know what any of those things are. So can you, like that's very high level. So can you just break it down in like the simplest form for anyone who's watching or listening? What does that mean? If you can break it down in a simple way.
Yeah. So sub two is really taking over someone's payment. Let's say someone got into a situation where this is a new construction, so she couldn't finish the new construction. She ran out of money, and now our student is going to take over her payments and then pay her out with some funds, maybe from a private money lender, and then continue the project. And then the feeder fund. So the property is in Portugal. So let's say she has a very big American database of investors. So the feeder fund would be opened up in the Cayman Islands or British Virgin Islands. And that way the investor would just put the funds into that account, and then that account pays a holding company. So that way the person that's investing is not going to be taxed twice from their country of residence, let's say USA, and then from Portugal. They're only taxed once. And that's the legal way to do it. I'm sure there's a lot of dubious ways why people have offshore accounts, but that's why people have those accounts for the feeder funds.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And that's obviously the first thing that comes to most people's minds. And I'm sure, especially if you're in sales, that's probably one of the first objections. It's like, why am I putting money into a Cayman account offshore, right? Is this like money laundering? Like that's probably one of the biggest objections I'm sure you get.
Yeah.
No, it's so legal. How do you overcome that?
You just show them, look, it's in the PPM as well. The feeder fund's in the PPM, so it's not a weird dubious account. And then a lawyer does set it up, so you have all the legalities covered there as well.
Mm-hmm. That is, I mean, I've heard of high level stuff. That's pretty high level. Investing in a feeder fund into an investment that's super creative on a new build in Portugal. Like that is international investing is really cool. That's really high level. If I'm listening to this and I'm like, you know what, I've got a dusty old, Roth IRA, or I've got some money sitting in a savings account. How can I get involved in this?
So I would roll that over into a self-directed account. Like you have equity, you have directed IRA, all these other accounts. It's not going to be your Fidelity and Vanguard. And those are the accounts that are actually really self-directed, because those custodians can't tell you how to invest your money. You give them the instructions and then they put it where you want. So that's the main difference.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah. We have that too in Canada, where you can self-direct your pensions and liras, which most people think are locked in until you retire. And then even then you might only get it paid out incrementally, but you can actually transfer out the lump sum into a mortgage company here and self-direct it as well. So we have something similar here in Canada. Now, did you tell her that as part of your terms, you have to go to Portugal and actually walk the property? Because then you get, who doesn't want to go to Portugal?
I know, exactly. Right. I have a trip, I think in April she was talking about next year.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's tax right.
So if somebody wants to today, like, oh my gosh, I want to get in on this deal, I want to be an investor, how would they contact you?
They can just send me an email, info@tanncapitalgroup.com, and I can, send them a message and get them all the details that they need.
Love that. Info@Tann with 2 N's, right. Capital.com.
Tanncapitalgroup.com.
Got it wrong. Info@tanncapitalgroup.com.
Right.
Did I get it right?
There you go.
Yeah. You got it.
Love it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So many amazing things happening for you. Sounds really exciting. I'm always impressed when people are able to really find their lane and their passion and just have that goal and go full force on it. So I love that you were able to find your path in a world where there's so many different options. And it sounds like everything that you're doing is really exciting.
And it's also, before we end this, I want to just point out one of the biggest things that you are doing is, and this is something Pace drives home really, like, I think I'm trying to say this. It's not an underlying thing. It's like one of his key modus operandi for the community. It's that we need to be doing things with purpose, right? Purpose over profit. And I love that, because I think what you're doing by giving value to the community, by connecting them with family offices, that you are spending your time and your energy going and building relationships with these people so that you can come back and bring value to others, is so incredible and important. So I recognize that, and I really, what's the word? I'm at a loss for words today.
Yeah. You appreciate it. You acknowledge it.
I acknowledge it and I appreciate it. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Cool big things.
Cool big things.
Yes.
You're doing cool things.
Yes.
And we're going to see you at Squat Up Summit in Dallas in March. Looking forward to it. Yeah, so exciting.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Really fun chatting. Absolutely. You come back and tell us how everything is going. We want updates.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And pictures of this place in Portugal. Maybe we'll go stay there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll come with you.
Totally.
Love it. Awesome.
Guys.